Hi, everyone. Welcome to SoFlo Real Estate Show. Ask Athena and Julie anything. We're the go-to podcast where we answer all your burning questions about all things in real estate here in South Florida. So whether you're a first-time home buyer, a seasoned investor, or just curious about the market, we are here to give you expert advice and insider tips. My name is Athena Barrocas. I'm your go-to realtor and an award-winning realtor here in Weston and South Florida.
I'm Julie Dinda, your go-to lender, and today we're diving into a crucial topic for all prospective home buyers in South Florida. Is it the right time to buy a home today, specifically in South Florida?
You know what, Julie? That is correct. Is it the right time to buy our home? Our goal today, and I'm super excited about it, is to shed light on the real estate market. So this way, our audience is well prepared to begin their home buying journey. So again, if this is the first time to this show, go ahead and subscribe and like to get notifications of our upcoming episodes. So Julie, before we get started with today's topic, let's talk about the deep freeze that hit the housing market last month. That would be December of 2024.
So you mean, I'm assuming that you're talking about the rate and all of that. I'm not really deep freeze. Go into that. What do you mean by deep freeze?
Well, according to Realtor.com, senior economist, homes spent about 70 days on the market, the slowest in December in 5 years, and the slowest month since January 23rd.
Yes.
Yes. And in
It's so
November, so the days of home on November were 62 days. So again, in December, 70 days. Some people would say, oh, that's only 8 days. But in our real estate world, Julie, 8 days is a lot, is it not?
It is. And in November, homes actually spent an average of 62 days on the market, which is
Yeah.
crazy. So the inventory itself actually plunged to 9% from November, which is the longest decrease since January of 23.
Yeah, I know. So they called it, Realtor.com's economists call it a glacial pace of home sales. Glacial. That is like the most slow moving that you can have that we faced in the real estate market. I know my colleagues and I felt it. Did you feel it in your side on the lending side?
Oh, yeah. It rose from I think 6.85%, according to Freddie Mac. So this has kept potential buyers firmly on the sidelines as they bided their time through the fall and early winter months.
Yeah, it's true. But at this point, 2025, we need to melt that glacier. Buyers need to get out there and buy before the summer peak. So I'm so excited to talk about it because a lot of buyers say, I'm going to wait for the summer because there's supposed to be more inventory and so forth and so forth. While all that is true, the one thing we know that comes with more inventory is more buyers. And when we have more buyers, what do we have, Julie? We have more.
The price is going. We got more buyers, more. Hey, we'll pay for your Netflix for a year. We got house cleaning. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, the more
I know.
buyers.
We have more competition,
Yes,
right?
more competition.
And then higher prices as buyers bid for this low inventory. Because again, what you just shared was, what was it? There was almost 9% inventory decrease in November?
Yeah, it's crazy. Unbelievable. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So that's a big number. And then you look at the new build. I mean, there is new build everywhere. You can go up down the turnpike, you'll see new build. You go up and down 95, you'll see new build. You see new build townhomes popping up in cities right here in West Broward. But there's just not enough homes being built to really satisfy the demand. So back to our question on the table, is now a good time to buy?
I think we should turn at the end of the day, I think we should turn our attention to 2025 and what to expect. Right?
You know what? I think so. Okay, so let's do it. Let's explore the current market trends. Let's explore mortgage rates. And let's explore the future forecast to help our viewers and our listeners make a really informed decision. The first part I would like to talk about is our current market overview here in South Florida. Do you want to start there? We can certainly start there. I think it's a good place.
I agree.
Yeah, okay, well, let's do it. So in South Florida, the real estate market as of January 25, this month, we've observed a stabilization of home prices. The median home price is expected to reach about $420,000 which is only a 3.6% increase from current levels. So when we talk about stabilization, I think that is really telling sellers, you know what, we need to get more realistic with our pricing. What are your
It's
thoughts?
so, yeah, it's so true that that's completely right. And while prices have risen, the rate of the increase has actually slowed compared to those previous years. So that's indicating more of like a balanced market.
Yeah, and balanced is good. I don't know about you, Julie, but when I see balanced market, I'm like, this is our best market. Homes aren't flying off the shelf, but buyers and sellers can go to a table and negotiate and actually have a very good discussion on really what that transaction is going to look like from both sides. So
So
I really love that part.
I agree. So, so at the end of the day, I think it also that also affects the actual the inventory levels that have increased significantly. So I think it's up to almost 30%, like 27, high 28% year over year. So that actually provides more options for buyers.
Yeah. So now our listeners might be going, wait a minute, didn't you just say that inventory was down? Yes, it's down, but it's up, year over year. But that doesn't mean we have a lot of homes out there. It means that we have
Sure.
buyers have more choices, right?
Yeah.
So what are the first three? Well, before we talk about the first three things a buyer should do, I think we have to kind of talk a little bit about, what does this mean for a buyer? I kind of stumbled on this topic of, if we wait till the summer, we're going to have, more buyers jump into the market. So, with that said, a home buyer really does need to be prepared. Julie, what would you recommend a home buyer do? What are some of the top three things that they should do immediately, whether they're
So
looking today or in 90 days?
yeah, exactly. So I mean, I think at the end of the day, the first thing you need to do is hire a realtor. I think you need to commit to a lender. And what I mean by that is to actually get that pre-approval from the lender, make sure you're on the same page with them, make sure you go over your budget, all the expenses, everything that's going to be coming your way, how much money you're going to need to bring the table. And then possibly the most important would be to create a purchase strategy with your realtor. I think that's probably the top four things that I would do first.
Yeah, I agree with you. Without hiring the realtor and committing to your lender, you really can't go any further because building that strategy is so important. It takes all the parties, the lender, the realtor, and the buyer to really sit down and figure out what is the best course of action and what is the best strategy because everybody comes to a purchase a little differently, right? You've seen that
Absolutely.
in your career. I've seen it in my 20 years plus in the real estate side.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely agree with you. All right, now I want to go turn to more of your level of expertise, Julie. Mortgage rate analysis. Let's go into the second segment of this. What do we need to do for mortgage rates? It's such a hot topic.
Yeah, let's talk mortgage rates. So in 2024, the average 30-year mortgage actually peaked at 7.79%. However, the rates themselves uh, have come down from that peak. And in the best case scenario, they could actually fall closer to that 6% at some point in 2020.
Yeah. 8%, 6%, we're rounding here. I understand that, but, we're not far off. So it could make a significant difference depending on the size of the loan. A $400,000 loan, we're not talking a big difference. But if we're up there in an 8, 9, $1 million loan, a 2% can make a big difference, right? And so, it is impact. What I wanted to kind of say, we're talking about the significance of, the impact of it and the impact of affordability and potential savings for buyers. So if we go back to our topic today, is it a good time to buy today? The answer is yes. If you really want to be able to take advantage of the interest rates and the reduction of the house increase, price of the increase, then the best time to buy right now is in the winter months, the early time, before everybody gets into that spring mode and April comes and it's the peak of the season. this is really a great time to buy. Julie, what do you think about affordability in the month of January and February?
Yeah, absolutely. And just for an example, a 1% decrease in interest rates can actually reduce monthly payments and increase that purchasing power, which is what we were talking about before.
Yeah. And it helps you get into a home. So why wait until everybody else wants to buy a home this summer? It makes absolutely no sense. But, if you can do it today, that is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, but I also want to put, caution, caution, caution out there because with the pent up demand and limited inventory, their rates are going to move up and down. Home prices are going to move up and down. So the best thing to do is really come up with that strategy with your lender and with your realtor. So that way you can navigate some of these nuances of change.
Exactly. And look, everyone wants the rates to drop. However, my advice is to begin the pre-approval process ASAP and create a strategy. Waiting to buy when everyone else is ready just means that you're going to pay a higher price.
Yeah. Hey, Julie, do you have an example for us? What it would be like if you bought now versus you waited a little longer? I mean, we
Yeah,
can even use an example, a fictitious what if scenario with interest
yeah,
rates.
sure.
Okay.
So we'll make it easy. So let's just say a $500,000 loan, 30 years. They do a 20% down payment, 6.5 or 6.25 and 6.75% comparison. Now, if we're only doing the principal and interest, let's not mention the taxes and insurance and stuff. So for
Okay.
X, yeah. So go ahead. Sorry,
No, no,
I
go
didn't mean to
ahead. Go
cut you
ahead.
off. So is paying now a great idea, versus waiting to pay over that list price? I mean, I would say in that scenario, I think at the end of the day, like it's gonna make more sense for you to do that comparison. It's like, you may have at 6.25 as opposed to 6.75. It may be the difference between maybe $75, $80, $100. Sometimes like we see it as low as $50 difference. So you're waiting all this time, waiting for everyone else to jump back in the market, and you're saving $200 a month, and you're paying 40,000 more because the buyer has come in and now you have four buyers on the same house. So you got to kind of, work that out and even.
Yeah, that's a good point because when competition comes, now you're either overbidding, you're waiving your inspections. There's a lot of crazy things that happen. So, you do have to weigh out whether or not that 50, 100, $200 payment at a higher interest right now makes sense versus waiting. And again, that's all based on, talking to your loan officer and your realtor about the best strategy for you. Hey, Julie, let's move into future market predictions. I love this. When we look ahead, experts predict a very modest price depreciation here in South Florida. They're saying that the median single family sales price is projected to increase 6% in 2025 to about 643,000. So,
Yeah.
you know, that is quite a healthy increase. So that says to me that the analysts are saying, hey, 2024 was a a year of stall. It was a stagnant market. We had so many things going on. We talked about this last week on the podcast, those four pending items that really slowed down the market. Maybe they're saying now, 2025, let's go. Buyers going to come in the market. Sellers are going to be more realistic. We're going to see more transactions, more new construction. I don't know, Julie. This is what I'm thinking from that statement. What are your thoughts?
No, I agree with that 100%. Although condo prices, on the other hand, they're an area in crisis. They're expected to decrease even more with all the challenges of the condo market along the water. Given the comfort level, there are potential opportunities for buyers in that segment. People that maybe have owned a home already, or possibly have a condo already and understand the differences between, like owning a condo and owning a house. There really might be some potential really nice opportunities for buyers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we should do a whole podcast on the condo market in South Florida. That could take on a
I
whole
was going to say
different
we might need a
level, and
couple
we
hours
should
on that
do
one.
that one. But speaking of condos right now, if you're on the water, there could be some great opportunities because that market's even slower than glacial. I'm not even sure what slower than glacial is, but it has stopped. So there are some good opportunities outside of the water, the coastal properties, I guess we could call it. There's also some opportunities, but we really like to focus mostly on single family homes. There was also interesting is that the Southeast Florida market in single family homes in some areas, not overall, but in some areas are poised to grow about 10%. They say that if the mortgage rates get to 5, we're going to see an exponential growth in homes. So that is really interesting. And when does that time frame come, Julie?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I just to touch on that again. I read an article over the weekend calling for the state of Florida, and readying itself for the silver tsunami in the year of 2030, where about 25% of the population is expected to be over the age of 65. So at the end of the day, we'll need to do a podcast on that at another time. I'm
We
keeping us
will.
busy.
There's a
We're
lot
staying busy over
happening in
here.
South Florida's market. And, the predictions are everywhere. They're everywhere and they're on so many different markets. So I guess it really goes back to what we were saying earlier. You need a strategy if you're going to buy, especially here in South Florida. Strategy with your lender and your realtor is so important. Julie, let's talk about something I think our audience would really like to hear more about our buyer considerations. So let's turn our conversation to then talk about more of the buyer considerations. So if you're considering buying a home, it's an essential asset to, your personal financial situation, to plan for your future and how long you intend to live at the property. So, it's more than just, buying your dream home.
Yeah, and additionally, consider the type of property. So with the prices, just to kind of go back to the condo prices remaining flat, there will be, unique opportunities in that market segment for mobile homes, possibly the office employment, importance of commute to the airport, the importance of the A-rated or private school.
Yeah, there are so many considerations when you're trying to figure out where you should buy a home. And, each buyer is so unique and they each come with their own unique situation. Buying a home is complex. And, I think our lives are complex. So if our lives are complex, buying a home to fit the need of our complex life, that is, that's not an easy feat. It's not an easy task.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll share an example. I recently had a family where the wife was deaf and the husband, obviously could hear, but he also, I guess because it ran in the family, they had 2 children that were also deaf. And they ended up, because of that, hindrance, what happened was, the wife, it was really hard for her to find a job. And the husband obviously was the only one working. And they went in and bought this gorgeous, like 2 double wide, trailer in Central Florida on almost a half acre of land, where if they would have bought, a 2-bedroom, 3-bath in South Florida, it could have been 500,000. They were able to buy a really beautiful brand new place for 250, and they were able to feel, comfortable where the wife could stay home with the kids and help them with their development, and the husband can go and work. So like every situation is different, and everyone's lives are complex. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So, I had a couple of questions from our viewers over time.
Okay.
And yeah, I do. I love this. I love it when
I
we
love
get to,
questions.
I know. I love it when we get to engage. It's really nice. But one of the questions came in was, how does the current mortgage rates compare to historical averages?
So historically, mortgage rates have averaged around 7 to 8%. So while recent rates have actually been higher than the lows seen during the COVID-19 pandemic, they're still within a reasonable range compared to those historical standards.
All right. So it's a good rate, basically. It's a rate that we can see sustain over time, or at least in the
Yeah.
near future.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have one too. So what factors are influencing the current real estate market in South Florida? That's a good one for you.
So you want to know what, okay, in the current market in South Florida, well, there's quite a few. Right now we have population growth. I think that's an important note. And it's not a population growth, from what we used to see. We're seeing a population growth of businesses coming in, new wealth coming in. We're seeing it to be a little bit different. We're also seeing a transition of a lot of homeowners moving either very north in Florida or moving out of the state. So there's a lot of change happening just within the population growth. We're seeing economic change. We're seeing changes in mortgage rates. And all of this is influencing the market. Additionally, inventory is providing options for buyers that we didn't see 2 years ago. So I would say that the biggest, what are the factors? The factors are just what's happening in your local market. We could be in New York and having a whole different conversation on what's taking place. But South Florida, it's the Mecca. Everybody still wants to be in South Florida. I mean, you can look over the decades and see what brought people, but at the end of the day, we have a phenomenal infrastructure. We have a phenomenal tax structure. We have great weather. I mean, I am loving the winter out here this year. Everything is beautiful in South Florida, and people want to be here at the end of the day. What are your thoughts, Julie?
No, 100%, with all of the technology coming into, and all the high end, like you had briefly touched on it, that are coming into Miami, all of those wonderful buildings are filling with, some of the top businesses and top, I can't remember what they were calling it. It's like New York, like the new New York Stock Exchange, like it's kind of the new, the new area of, ever since COVID hit. Everyone kind of came down here, and then everything that you're seeing happening in California, you're going to see an influx of those people that want the beach but can't deal with what's happening over there, and they're going to come here for sure. So we're going to see a lot of that. So there's going to be a lot of movement, a lot of buyers that are coming in. And I'm just excited to see what 2025 brings. That's for sure.
I'm very excited about 2025. So in conclusion, I think the best way to sum this up, Julie, is really saying that the South Florida real estate market has opportunities and challenges. Staying informed and consulting with professionals like yourself or myself can really help our audience, our home buyers, our home sellers navigate whatever's happening right now in the market. Because the one thing that's guaranteed, it's always going to change.
Yeah. And remember, real estate decisions are highly personal. Access your individual circumstances and long-term goals before you make that move.
Great advice. And I want to thank our audience for joining us today on the SoFlo Real Estate. Make sure you remember to like and subscribe for notifications on our upcoming episodes. Julie, always great to have you as my co-host, and I love diving into these discussions with you.
Yes, absolutely. Always a pleasure. And we look forward to talking with you guys.
Have a great day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.